Hey guys, welcome to Mandy's Come Sew With Me and my craft room. Now today what I thought I would do is do something a little bit different and do a bit of a meet and greet with you and let you get to know me better. So I've written down a few things here to chat about and I will start. Now this is basically about the 5-series video, the 5-part video series that we just had. So I will talk a lot about that shortly too. So the first one I want to talk about is 1/4-inch seams. Now everything I do is roughly around the 1/4-inch seam. When I'm tacking, it's smaller. When I'm sewing 2 pieces of fabric together, it's 1/4-inch seam. When I've got batting in it, it's slightly bigger. But everything is still roughly around the 1/4-inch seam mark. So in my binding ones, in my binding videos where I'm doing the bindings, when I don't tell you how far I go in on the corners, it's actually 1/4 of an inch. So I'm hoping that you can figure that one out. I'm very sorry for not saying anything, but you know, I'm sure you can figure it out. We tend to get tongue-tied at times, and tongue-tied, yeah. We tend to say the wrong word that we're actually referring to. And a good example of that was in my last video when I was talking about the sliders. Well, they're sliders, but I referred to them as zipper tops. So another example was in my fun tops video. I kept referring to my iron-on transfers as stencils, but they were still iron-on transfers. So I guess I just look past those little mistakes because I'm sure everyone understands that everyone makes mistakes, and plus a lot of the time while I'm doing the videos and I'm talking to you guys, I'm usually concentrating on what I'm actually doing, because if you don't concentrate on your sewing when you're sewing on the sewing machine, you can and will have an accident, and I've never actually had that yet, so hopefully it never happens. But you can and will have an accident, and yeah, it's good to concentrate on things. So if I get a little bit tongue-tied while I'm talking, while I'm sewing, just look past it. It's nothing. It's no biggie. Okay, now I also want to touch base with the shop that we used to have. Well, our shop, it was awesome. I loved having a shop. It was just great. But unfortunately, it was a little bit of a situation where the position of the shop didn't actually have the foot traffic, which is really, really sad. Most shops do rely on foot traffic, whether people believe it or not. But you look at the shopping centres, and the shopping centres are a great example of foot traffic. Everybody's in there and everyone's going to walk past the shops. Well, if you don't have that foot traffic, you're not going to do so great in that regards. But we did have regular customers, which was really, really good, and I loved it. And I had actually been planning for about 2 years prior to getting the shop. And that's when we bought our sewing machines, but I'll touch base with that a little bit further into this video. So I really, really missed the shop, and we closed the shop over 12 months ago. So I haven't actually been sewing since, but I was sewing full on when I was in the shop. So yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit rusty, or I was actually a little bit rusty as I was doing all these videos, and now I'm not rusty. I found it pretty quickly. Zipper sliders still don't like me. I do have a little bit of trouble getting the zipper slider on, so look past that one. I don't think that's a biggie either. Now, when I was in the shop, we actually did work from 9 till 5:30 most days, and then other days it was 9 till 9 at night, so they were really big days. Of course, when I left the shop, I was left with these really big days, kind of doing not a lot. So what I eventually started doing was I started cleaning my house out from top to bottom, and I think once I finished all the rooms, I started to look a little bit more into YouTube and getting my YouTube channel up and running. Now, I started my YouTube channel back in 21, but I did not know anything actually about YouTube whatsoever. I didn't know a thing. So I've been learning by watching a lot of videos, listening to a lot of videos, taking notice, and some of them just say to take your camera, start doing films, just start. And that's what I did. I just started. So as I've progressed through my videos, I feel I've got better, and I feel that my editing is getting better, my music choice. I got a little bit dependent on the one music, so now I'm actually just going to put any sort of music in there when I fast forward things. And the reason why I fast forward things is because I don't want my videos to be boring. I always want them to keep moving, and this is what I'm trying to achieve, is to just keep moving. Now, I wanted to talk about my Jack sewing machines. Like I said, I actually started preparing for my business 2 years before I actually had my shop. So I've had my Jack sewing machines for quite a few years now, and I've had enough experience on them to totally enjoy them actually. The reason why I chose the Jack sewing machine is because when you are doing a production line and you want to make a lot of things, you are actually better off with an industrial sewing machine, and that's why I went that way. The Jack sewing machine, I got to know a seller, and he spent quite a bit of time talking to me and explaining to me about a lot of things about the Jack. When I started using them, I was actually quite impressed with them. So I'm very happy with the Jack sewing machines, and they just work, they just do stuff. Unfortunately, at the moment, my Janome is broken. My Janome sewing machine does not work as well as it should, so I actually don't use it. And because of that, I miss quilting because I love quilting. Quilting is exciting. Quilting keeps me going. Coming up with my own designs all the time. I actually really enjoy designing things, and quilting. Quilting's just my favourite. So I miss my quilting machine, and I miss quilting, but I'm hoping to very soon get back into something. So I think one of my videos that I'm probably going to do in the very near future will be touching base with quilting, because I think you guys would really enjoy that, particularly beginner sewers. I think it would be really good for a beginner sewer to learn that, quilting is actually not that hard. It is hard when you get into the technical patterns, but you don't have to. You can just quilt anything the way you want it, and designing is very easy. So guys, I'm hoping to actually teach you how to do that. Talking about being a sewer, I have got 40 plus years experience up my sleeve. I started sewing when I was in my teens actually, and I started making my own clothes. Now, since then, I was given a sewing machine when I was 21, and you guessed it, it was a Janome sewing machine. So I have always loved Janome sewing machines. Janome sewing machines will always be my favourites. They will always be at the top of my list because I had that sewing machine for many years, and I actually decked out a few weddings with that. I used to make children's clothing because I had a lot of children and yeah, they needed clothing. So I used to make children's clothing. I also make a lot of crafty items, which we've already touched base with them already in the 5 video series, and we'll talk about that shortly too. I also make medieval clothing, which has been something that I really enjoy, and I probably only do that around the middle of the year because there's a medieval festival that we do enjoy going to. So medieval clothing is right up there on my list, and I love making it, I love designing it, and I love coming up with ideas for that. Craft ideas for our 5 video series, well, that was fun for me because a lot of these things I actually made in the shop and I designed them in the shop as well. So that was also fun. Okay, so we're going to talk about bindings. Now, bindings will be your best friend. Seriously, if you're a beginner sewer, bindings are going to be your best friend. Bindings, you can hide so many things on the edge of your work, but also you're not going to get confused when you make it, because when you usually make items, we usually make them from the inside. But with a binding, well, we can put that binding right on the edge there, and you're going to cover that seam over, provided you trim it up and treat it with respect. And you're going to be able to make items a lot faster than what you would if you tried to learn to sew it from the inside. So guys, bindings are your best friends. The idea is to actually get things made. Don't sit there and procrastinate. Let's just sit down and actually make them. So if you're a beginner sewer, it's all straight stitching. There's nothing fancy about it. We didn't do any quilting. Unfortunately, you have that little problem that when you don't do quilting on it, it is going to move around. And you saw how that would happen on my videos. But if you pin it everywhere, you won't really have that problem. So use a lot of pins, use a lot of clips, and you too can make items like these. Now my name tag, that is my name tag, and I will always use it. I used it in the shop, and when I made all these items, that's where I actually put them when I was making them all in the shops. So it's kind of a habit to still put my name tags on everything. But like I said too, eventually I'm hoping to sell again. I will probably start back up at the markets, but when I figure it out, guys, I'm actually going to sell through my YouTube channel and probably through my Facebook. So yeah, I do have a lot of things and they are for sale. If you're interested, all you need to do is just leave me a message with whatever you're interested in and I'll get back to you and I can let you know. But in the meantime, start sewing. Bindings are good and they're easy. And these mitered corners, the mitered corners are very easy. Like I said earlier, I didn't show when I was sewing these, but that mitered corner I came in quarter of an inch and then I started sewing to the next corner. I stop at 1/4 of an inch before I get to the corner, and then I start again at 1/4 of an inch and continue. So they're pretty easy. Okay, so also I want to add, when I designed my business card, I designed it was all colours on black, which all my name tags are still colours on black. I love them. But the colours on black, like, it took me years to design a lot of things for my business, and I've ended up designing wall banners and A-frames, which I used in the shop. But one thing I did find when I was in the shop is not a lot of people are attracted to the black. So I actually had to change the black background, and I actually changed it to an orange. So once I did that, I found a lot of people came in. So both my banner and my A-frame and all my business cards, I changed the whole lot to an orange background. But that's okay. I've still got it anyway. I still work with it, and I love black. I could not find a lot of black when I was looking for it, so I decided to take black for a ride. I love the colour black, and I do feel personally that colours show up better on black than what they do on white. And I do have a couple examples of that, and you can decide for yourself. But guys, everyone has their own opinion, and everybody is allowed to have their own opinion. But these are two fabrics, same pattern, colour on white and the colour on black. So I feel the black shows up more, but you know, like I said, everyone's allowed their opinions. And another fabric, the same thing, the same pattern, colours on black and colours on white. So I do really enjoy the colours on black, really enjoy it, very much so. And that's why when I design things, you will always see black, because when I was in the shop, everything that I designed and made was either black or white. Still the same concept, colours on black, and I did make up name tags also that were actually made up on white as well. So everything was sort of like colours with black or colours with white now. I love colours on black. Colours on black will always be my favourite. Okay, so we'll go back to the 5-part video series that we've just made. Now in video 1, we made the scrunchie. So in video 2, we made the tetrahedron carryall. Probably not a good choice for the video number 2, but it's okay. In video number 3, and I will explain that to you in a second. Video number 3, I made the tissue pouch. Video number 4, I made the glasses case. And video number 5, I made the purse. I was really excited about all of these simply because I made all of these out of one fat quarter. And it's really exciting to tell people that it's amazing what you can make from one fat quarter. And people probably would not believe you, but look at that cute little bunch of stuff that we've actually made from one fat quarter. Now I do have other designs. I have designed quite a few different bits and pieces when I was working in the shop. So I do have, there are 3 other designs that I have, which I will probably make up another 5-part video series later on down the track, definitely after the new year, we will probably make another scrunchie, and we will probably make another purse of some sort, but maybe we will do a different design. I'm not going to tell you what we will be making, and I'm not going to tell you the design of it yet, because I will leave that for when we get closer to doing the videos. I think it's best if it's a surprise, and I feel that you might actually come back and watch it. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed all my videos, and I really enjoy making them for you, and I'm trying to make them as beginner friendly as I possibly can. So that beginner sewers can actually come in and make something, because it would be really exciting if you could make something. So if you're a beginner sewer, definitely grab yourself a cheap sewing machine. Yep, there's some expensive ones out there, but there are also some cheap ones. So just grab yourself a cheap one. And for most of these, for actually everything that I'm designing at the moment, or everything that I've shown you, I only use a straight stitch, because my jack only does a straight stitch. Everything that I make at the moment has all been done with a straight stitch. So any sewing machine is going to do a straight stitch. So definitely grab yourself a sewing machine and start making some of these things. Yes, I made this set out of 1 fat quarter, but on a realistic level, if you get yourself 2 fat quarters, one for the main fabric, a plain one that you can use inside, and then an extra one to use for your bindings. So that's 3 fat quarters and just a little bit of wadding, and you can make all of these items. Definitely do it. Making things make you happy. And if you're not 100% sure with everything, you can do a little bit of hand sewing, but I would prefer it if you started using a sewing machine, because sewing machines are pretty easy to use. All you've got to do is, when you buy a sewing machine, learn how to thread it up. Get to know it, and they usually come with a little book anyway, an instruction book. Read through it and get to know your sewing machine. You would really love it. Get to know it, learn how to thread your sewing machine, practice until you can do that without looking at your book, and get some fabric. Just get some cheap fabric. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be old clothing that you have that you don't want anymore, and start practicing on that. Make little bits and pieces. Like if you've got an old t-shirt, you could probably cut that down and make anything that's on here. So use a little bit of practicality, I suppose you could call it. You don't need to go out and buy everything. When I first started sewing, I used to try and get fabrics from anywhere. So the best place I actually went to were the second-hand shops. They have a lot of curtain fabrics, old doona sets, blankets. They have all sorts of stuff. So definitely check out those sort of shops as well, and pick yourself up some cheap fabric. Cottons are quite cheap to buy. Spotlight has them, Lincraft has them. Actually, a lot of the cheapy shops have them. So definitely get a few supplies. Always make sure you have one good pair of scissors. All your other scissors don't need to be for fabrics or anything, but threads. But always make sure you have a decent pair of scissors. good dressmaking scissors should be a really good choice to choose. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed everything. I hope everything was clear for you to see. And I'm hoping that my improvements are getting better and my editing is getting better also. Like and subscribe, share with a friend, and please keep on coming back because I am going to try and make as much as I possibly can. I'm getting through a lot of things, particularly when I bedazzle clothing. I've got a lot of clothing here that I need to bedazzle. I've still got that skirt sitting there that we still need to do, that I promised to do ages ago, but I decided to do some pants instead. And those velvet pants, actually the reason why I did them when I did was because they have actually been sitting in my craft room for quite some time because I've needed to add something to them and I didn't know what at the time. But I'm really happy with them, and they're I'm glad to say they're back in my wardrobe and I do wear them. I've fixed up that skirt, the skirt that I made with the purple edging. I've since fixed that up. I've put some lace on it. So in the picture on my thumbnail, you'll see that I've actually put the triangle pieces of lace in it. So that's all been done. The top I haven't actually, well, the top I haven't got to yet, but I do still wear that, and I will probably wear that again pretty soon. Thank you for watching, guys, and please come back and join me in my next video. So until then, I'll see you there in my next video. Later.